Hi guys, welcome back to Alice Loves. We are in my ensuite today. I'm doing the first part of my little trio of brush series. I'll actually start with a video about how to wash your makeup brushes. And I was thinking about the best way to try and show you, and I thought, right, I'll bring you over to the sink. So I'm not going to go through it. This is like sort of mainly my eye brushes. There's a few random, like my fan brush for the cheek, but mainly my eye brushes in here. But I'm not going to go through and wash every single brush for you, that would be really boring. But I've bought 3 different products. So I've got my goat milk solid brush cleanser that I talk about all the time. I think it was in my March favourites video. I really love this. I've bought a bit of a cheaper Makeup Revolution one to show you the difference. And then I've also bought my big bottle of just Tesco's own baby shampoo, which I love to use for the slightly less stained brushes rather than using my super expensive solid brush cleaner. Also got with me this brush tool, which I love. This is from Real Techniques, and you slide it onto your hand and clean your brushes in it. So I'm going to get started. The first brush is not an eye makeup brush, and the reason I wanted to show you this is, I don't know if you can see, but the bristles here initially were really sort of creamy white colour, and the second you apply bronzer, the brush really stains, even though this hasn't had any cream product, only powder. And I was washing them with my baby shampoo, and it just wasn't bringing the staining out, and that's when I really realised the difference between the quality. So I'm going to show you how well it will clean with the baby shampoo, then I'll show you it with the goat milk, and then I'll maybe just go through a few quick other brushes to show you how it's done. So this tool has really made a difference for me. I will do a close-up, but there's big bumps at the bottom. There's then the middle-sized sort of nodules that are sort of cross-shaped in the middle, and then tiny dots at the top. Now the idea is that your bigger brushes, you swirl through the bigger ones and the medium when you've got the soap on to really get in and clean the brush, and then the little ones are for your little brushes, so your eye makeup brushes. So what I start with doing, everybody's different, and I think the key thing to remember here is you don't ever want the water to be dripping down into the ferrule where the bristles are glued, otherwise it's going to start ruining the glue and you'll get shedding on your face. So you want to be washing downwards. So I'm just going to turn the tap on here, and I'm going to start with just downwards, running the brush, not down to the ferrule, but just a little bit. So now that the bristles are wet, and it will start working. So what I'm going to do to start with is put a little bit of this baby shampoo in the hand brush cleaner thing, and I'm just going to swirl the brush into here. Now you can see that this is going really nice and brown coloured, so it is washing it out. So give it a really good swirl and let it sort of really lather up. And then what I like to do is run a little bit more water, let me flood myself, and leave just a little bit of clean water, warm, not boiling, not ice cold. Give it a good swirl, and what you'll see is, repeating the same process, so keep filling the tray, swirling it around, it'll bubble up, the water will come dirty, swirl it out and go again. Now what you'll see is the water will start to run clear when the brush is clear. So, so it's getting clearer, it's still brown, but it's not clear. So what I'm going to do now, it's thoroughly wet, is go in with a second blob and keep repeating this process until it runs clear. Now what you'll find, as I say, with this baby shampoo is it just will not get the staining out. Now it is looking a lot better, I'll show you in a minute. The bubbles now are starting to look almost white, which means a lot of the product is actually out of the brush. So swirl, go again, always downwards. Always down when you're cleaning it, so it's not going into the ferrule. Give it a really good scrub. The water is now clear and the bubbles are clear, so I'm just going to give it a last run under the tap, squeeze it out, and you'll see it's a lot better, but you can still see all that staining. So now what I'm going to do is show you the difference. I'm going to swirl it still downwards, it's wet, into this solid brush cleaner, And I'm going to work it round till I can see, again, a lather forming on the top, which it's doing now. So it's lost its shape a bit, that's fine, you can mould it back in. And I'm going to just swirl it around in here and give it a really good clean. A little bit of water to mix in the bubbles. And you can see already now that the staining on this brush is starting to come out a lot more. And you know, obviously the brush cleaner, it's designed to clean brush. Baby shampoo, it's a very gentle shampoo, it's obviously for babies. So it's great at looking after your, I'm just going back in with some more. It is great at looking after your brushes and not stripping them. But at the same time, it isn't obviously designed for this in mind. And that is where the difference comes in. It is a lot more money, but for certain brushes that you want to keep their colour, and I can see now, can you see how white the suds are? So give it a good scrub. I'm just going to rinse the bristles under the tap again. Give it one last clean up. Now this solid shampoo that I've just mentioned is lemon scented, so my whole ensuite now just smells truly amazing. So I'm just doing a last rinse under the tap, but from 3/4 of the way down so that it's not soaking in. Give it a good squeeze. Now can you see the difference in the colour? You know, it's almost back to brand new. So I'm trying to just gently reshape it while wet so it's slightly tapered. And then what I do is I lie them, when they're all done, off the edge like this so they can dry and they're not lying flat and losing their shape on one side. But I'd go and do it in my other room, in my other bathroom. I've got a big long side, so I lie them all along there. So for now I'm just going to pop that one there. So that was a big brush, and as I say, the bubbles I put in on the big end, give it a good scrub, swill always face down, just keep repeating the process. So I'm going to just swirl that out. Now something like, I don't know, so this is my Real Techniques setting brush, expert setting brush, no, just setting brush from the original collection. I love this brush, I use it all the time, but baby shampoo is more than enough to clean that brush. So I've put a dollop on again, and I've put it right in the middle because it's not a tiny brush, it's not a huge brush, and I haven't even wet this brush because it's smaller. I've just, and look at that, you can see the colour straight away. So I've just gone straight in with the brush on this palette, and I'm giving it a really good swirl, and I'm not too worried about how hard you do it. When they're wet, they will misshape a little bit, and you can just, while they're still wet, form them back into their original shape and they dry just fine. And that now is almost entirely clean. The bubbles are coming out clear, so give it a last swirl so that there's no more suds coming out, and give it a squeeze out. Try and put the shape back, and that you can see there's one little hair coming out that's been hanging out for ages. They don't shed a lot, these brushes, but it's not going to come out, it's still attached. But again, trying to keep it down. But that has cleaned just with baby shampoo, and that quickly. The little ones, you can even grab with the little ones a couple together. So you could maybe get, say, this one, this one, this one. So these are just 3 different. I've got a Royal & Langnickel double-ended brush, I've got a Real Techniques Bold Metals, and I've got a NARS one. And you could just take all 3 together so that their ends are lined up, and repeat the same process. So baby shampoo, don't worry about wetting them when they're smaller brushes, and that's it, just swirl them straight in, and you can see, look at that, how dirty they are. And I'm quite good at washing them regularly, but you know, as soon as you've done a smoky eye with a brush, it's got a lot of product in. So give them a really good swirl around, swirl the suds away, keep repeating. Now with these, I'm mixing them between the tiny dots and the middle dots. The suds have now come clear, so give it a good swill out. And there you go. So all 3 of those, I don't know if you saw how dirty the Real Techniques one is, and it's white, and that's washed just fine. I don't know if you can actually see that. Let me try and hold it up if you can. Same, that one's washed beautifully, and that one. So baby shampoo is more than enough for most of your brushes. Something like, oh dear, I'm going to line them up down here for now. In fact, I'm going to put them down here, I'm just disappearing. You don't have one of those hand things. I mean, they're only, I don't know the exact price, I will as always link down below, but I've got a feeling they're about £7 or £8 on Boots, so it's certainly not the end of the world. But before I had that, what I used to do is actually just put a blob of your baby shampoo into your hand, get the brushes that you want to wash, so let's take this Urban Studio brush, and I would do the same process but just swirl it in my hand. And then you'd see the product coming out, and I'd do the same thing. I'd rinse my hand off and then just keep rinsing it in my hand with just a little bit of fresh water, swill it under, and that's it. So you don't have to use the tray. Like, look at that, that's almost gone back to brand new white, easy peasy. So you don't have to have this. This just really helps get a little bit further into the bristles. So you can see there's still soap suds left in that, which on my hand I hadn't noticed. So it is a bit handier, but let me give it another swirl now. There we go. So you can just as easily do it in your hand. Then what you might want to do is take a towel and just give them like a squeeze off to take the excess surface water. Make sure they're, as I say, all back in shape, and just line them all out to dry. I wouldn't dry them with a hairdryer or anything like that, it can ruin them. And that's how easy it is. So that's part one of my brush series. Just a quick video for you, so you can use your sort of solid brush cleansers or something like a baby shampoo. You can buy specific liquid brush cleaners as well, but if I'm using liquid I tend to just stick with baby shampoo. But there's sort of Cinema Secrets. There's another really good one that's gone out my head, Dr. Branner's liquid soap, that's great. And just make sure that you clean your brushes really often, guys. You know, it's about being hygienic. I know these look dirty, but they're cleaned regularly. You know, I wear different eye makeup looks on a daily basis. I'm always using different brushes, so try and give them a good clean. In between uses, you can buy an antibacterial sort of spot cleaner, which you can spray on and clean just to keep them clean in between uses. So this is part one. I'm going to do another full video on talking through my favourite makeup brushes, and I'm going to break that down into 2 videos for you. One of all my favourite eye brushes and one of all my favourite sort of face and other brushes, in just a little mini series. Any questions, as always, leave them down below, and I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys, bye.